Hey, hi guys, Steve Innes again. I'm just going to show you a little tool that I've got from out of my Festool range. It's the OFK 500. Some of you may or not know about it, but it's a great little unit. It's absolutely sensational for rounding over. Absolutely foolproof. You could have a child do it. I mean, you can't mess up. It's as simple as that. So what I'm doing in here, I'll just flick this around. I'll move my jacket. Okay, so this is my granddaughter's steps for their bunk beds that I've made, and whoa, there we go, pull it out. So they've got drawers built into them on runners, of course. So they just push back in there. But what I've done is I've done the face plates of the drawers so that they're sort of recessed, so there's no sort of edges for them to stand on or anything like that. But I didn't want to put a proprietary handle in it, and part of their room is they're featuring this pine and white. So what I've done is I'm just doing a sample at the moment, and I've used this the 60mm bit. It's a large bit which I've got from a set from Carbotech, which is a fantastic set. And what I did was initially drilled the hole in the timber like this. You get a beautiful clean hole, as you can probably see. It's really it's quite a good sort of edge to it, but I'm going to take that off anyway with the round over bit. Now what I'll do is, what I've also done is I use this coving bit here, which is, I'll turn around like that, like, see this coving bit here, to put a cove inside the ply. That means that when you've got it around here and you've got a back to it, it's just a finger pull. So if I come over here and I sit it up here, you'll see that now it's a finger pull. You can get your fingers inside here. So it's just a very simple sort of operation, but it's a bit sharp. Whoopsie, whoops! Oh, hey, oh, there's my photography skills working for me again. Okay, now, but it's a bit sharp here. Now I can sort of sand that off, and I can sand it off here. But this is the Festool OFK 500. This is primarily for sort of, I find, for rounding over. Now you've got all different sort of bits you can have. This one here, for instance, is a chamfer bit. We get that coming. Yeah, that's a chamfer, so it'll take a slight chamfer off. If I come over to my little box of tricks, which I should have had out before, I've got a number of different cutters you can put in it. You can put in, another sort of round over cutter. So I'll sort of hone in on that. It's another little round over cutter there, which is, let me see, it must be that's a 3mm. That's a 3mm round over. This one's just a straight shank, so you get a straight cut on that. And this one here is a much larger, whoa, this one, I'm good at this camera work. This is a much larger one, and this one is an R6, so you've got a 6mm round over. Now, the beautiful thing about these tools is they're really specifically for, well, I use it for edging only. There's nothing else I use it for. That comes with a shroud, which sits over the top, like so, which just screws into the base, pretty simply, like that. And subsequently, when you're doing edging, you get the back coming out of here, and obviously sucks most of the debris away. But what I'm doing a bit of, because I'm doing sort of freeform stuff, you really can't have this on. So you get a bit of a mess around the place, but that doesn't matter. That's why we've got backs. Okay, so what you've got here is you can actually turn and see your bit going up and down in increments via, you can see, it might be pretty hard to see. I'll see if we can get in on it. Yeah, see these little indents here? This, when you lock it in, locks into those indents. So it positively locks it in. Now, as I turn it, you will see as I keep turning, I'm exposing more now of the blade. Now if I come back again, do it like, it's really easy to change the bit. You just, around this side, you've got a lock-in button. So again, you slop it into the hole here and you lock it in and you hold it depressed. You hold it depressed, you depress it in and you just unscrew the little bugger from the front. Hang on, it's not quite locked in. You've got to find you hear a click, and that's when it's locked in. I didn't have it locked in properly. So it's just a matter of undoing this little slot at the front. Whoops, keep coming out of camera. In fact, I'll turn the camera down a little bit more so it's a bit easier. I'm not holding it up in the air. Feeling like an acrobat here. Okay, so we can finish screwing it open. It's like watching grass grow, isn't it? There we go. Now, the bit just simply pops out. And it's a special bit for this special colour. It won't take any other router bits, only than the router bits that are available for it. I think I've got most of the router bits. I think there might be just one of the, I think this is a different angle. You can get a different angle than this one. This one is a 45 degrees. I thought that was probably more common than what I'd use. And because they're Festool, they're definitely expensive, obviously. So it's just a matter of you pop it in, pop back into the screw, which is a ball bearing arrangement, much like a lot of routers with the ball bearing. So that just slips around like so. Lock it, tighten it up, release that round. Look at something over here to see how much round off I want. I only want a little bit of a round off. So I just now lock it into the slot. Now it's ready to go. So I'll get my, and this thing is simply foolproof. I mean, the thing about it is, right, the good thing about this is, in most routers here, when you do that, you'll take a chunk out of it. Well, if you do that in this, you won't take a chunk out of it. In fact, if you do this, you do that, you can't, it's foolproof. You can't actually wreck it. It's just the way that it is. It's the way that it's designed. So what I'll do, I'll bring the camera down a bit more, if I can, like that. And I've still got the hose off this one because I haven't got the hose connected, but the hose is going to get in the way a little bit. So it's just simply a matter of there you go, done, easy peasy. Lovely and smooth. It's taken a really nice little sort of shoulder off there. You can sort of see that slightly on the angle. And I'll just show you how easy it is to go around the edges. Now look. Well, now I'll put the camera's flared out a little bit. So you can see I've got a perfect round over. And you saw the way I did it, I really did it quite haphazardly. You couldn't do that with a regular router. That would just chew that big time. So this is now nice and smooth. I'll just run a little bit of paper around in there. And away we go. But so that'll sit now as the face there. You got your finger coming in here. I'll sand off this back area a bit. Unfortunately, you can't get that. I can't get the router down into rounding this off, but I can just do that simply with a piece of paper. So that's the Festool. Let's see. Whoops, the camera's going back again. Geez, I'm good at this. I like to thank everyone for being tolerant for my terrible skills, but as I've told you, I always do this raw. It's just like a regular shed. I had some guys come in this morning. I sold my previous thicknesser, and the guys were pretty amazed at some of the stuff I was sort of demonstrating, and I just say it as it is. No fancy stuff from me, as I told you. Okay, so this is great. An OFK 500. If you're doing solid timber, you're doing round offs, whether it be you're making chairs or you're making tables or you're making cabinets and you're using solid woods, this is the go-to round off. I would not use, personally, I wouldn't bother, and I've got the 1400 router. Now that's a big router, and that's pretty cool. I've got the I've got the 1010 router. It's also really cool. But the 1010 router, I just tend to leave, because it's such a pain to set up half the time, I tend to just leave it so I'm drilling holes when I'm doing my, on the LR32. So this is a good little router. But again, you know, it's like a typical router. If I put that bit in there and I turned it, it will take a chunk out of it. But they're fantastic routers, of course. And I've got the, whoops. And I've got the 220 over there, which is the real big kahuna. I'm not going to bother getting it out. I think you get the gist. This is one on its own. Now, I've got the other ones, which are I've got the MFK 700 router. So this also can do roundovers. You can pretty much sort of do somewhat similar to this. It's pretty good for roundovers, and I would suggest, you know, if you couldn't afford just to buy one of these just for rounding over, you'd have to have a fair bit of use just to have that exclusively. It's not too bad in price. These are obviously more expensive, and I've got the and this is the OFK. This is the OFK 700. So this is the MFK 700 and the OFK 700. I normally have this one set more so it's actually horizontal, but I've been doing some trimming with this quite a fancy little edge trimmer which trims off laminate. So I've got it sort of set up for that reason. And so that's a little bit, that's a little bit on some of the routers. I mean, I can do a sort of thing on what these routers will do, but for the moment, I really just wanted to show the virtues of this one. I think it's fantastic. It's I can't be without it because I do a fair bit of solid work, and I just find it's just brilliant. You just run around, it's so easy to hold in your hand. It's a safe tool to use. Yep. So this thing keeps falling down. All right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight. It's Saturday night. It's pizza night tonight. I'm making a prawn and basil pizza, and it's now 5 minutes to 7 p.m. It's dark, and I'm going in now to open a bottle of wine and make some pizza. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking up with me and looking at all these channels. I see my subscribers are growing, so yeah, good fun. Okay, see you again.